Greetings. My name is Catherine Grace Hunada. The Earth is a fine place and worth fighting for, said Ernest Hemingway. Climate change poses one of the greatest challenges of our time, and Indonesia, being the fourth most populous country and largest archipelago, stands at the front line of its impacts. Rising sea levels threaten coastal cities like Jakarta, erratic weather patterns disrupt agriculture, and forest fires endanger biodiversity, affecting both wildlife and human health. Although the Indonesian government has ratified the Paris Agreement and pledged net zero emissions by 2060, these efforts are largely undermined by heavy reliance on extractive industries, slow implementation, and inconsistent enforcement. Not nearly enough is therefore being done to confront the scale of this crisis in my country, Indonesia. Indonesia's Nationally Developed Contributions, or NDCs, include a target to reduce emissions by 30% independently or 40% with international aid by 2030. Renewable energy policies, reforestation programs aim to restore degraded mangroves, and adaptation measures like seawalls have already been introduced. Yet, we see limited nationwide progress. Deforestation in Sumatra and Kalimantan persists at alarming rates, driven by palm oil plantations and excessive logging. Illegal clearing of secondary forests often go unchecked, falling outside current moratoriums. Meanwhile, renewable energy development remains far behind schedule. Coal still generates more than half of Indonesia's electricity, locking the country into high carbon emissions for decades to come. A major barrier to stronger climate action is economic dependence. Palm oil exports and coal mining provide significant government revenue. Transitioning away from these sectors requires costly and complex restructuring, proving both politically and socially challenging. Yet, delaying this shift risks severe long-term consequences as the world moves towards cleaner energy sources, leaving Indonesia behind in the green economy. Climate action, therefore, cannot solely rely on policymakers. Awareness and education must reach all communities equally. For many Indonesians facing poverty, food insecurity, or unemployment, however, climate change feels like a distant issue. Furthermore, consumer behavior remains largely unsustainable, enforcement of plastic bans inconsistent, and public transport underdeveloped, leading to increased emissions from private vehicles. Given Indonesia's role in climate change, urgent action is therefore needed. This includes, first, enforcing stronger environmental regulations with transparent monitoring, then accelerating the transition away from coal towards renewable energy, and lastly, providing reskilling programs for mining and palm oil workers. Moreover, integrating climate education into schools can also turn climate concern into collective responsibility. Finally, expanding outreach programs to rural communities through village heads and NGOs provides accessible content in local languages, not only in urban-centered campaigns. All in all, climate change is not a distant threat, but a looming reality. Albert Einstein once said, "The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything." Thank you for your time and your ears.